welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Like Queen Lisa. Today is a VSTEG day, and we're going to hit the Oz again. I've got a little bit of news, some current events to share with you that kind of go hand in hand with all that. But we'll be right back with my buddy Skullcap SaVant right after this. Welcome back.
Yeah.
So we had quite a few, well, at least a couple of qualia kind of nods this week with our Oz news. I know we wanted to start off with the news that the oldest living Wizard of Oz cast member turns 107. And it's not anyone you see here. It's actually the lady who you most know her for her feet in the movie, The Wizard of Oz. So she was a stand-in. So is this a nod to all the stand-ins we might have going on or might be playing?
She was the secret cast member. She wasn't even credited in the film.
Right. Right.
The secret cast member. Well, I think it's a nod to Q is what I think with the secret cast member thing.
What do you think it is?
It's a nod to Q. It's the 107th birthday. 17 numerology.
Yeah.
The secret actor, Q.
Is Q. Mm-hmm.
It's just an alignment thing for the spell casting environment, the template, in my eyes, you know.
Well, and if you think about that, they talk about in the movie, you most know her for her legs and her feet.
She got her own pair of ruby red slippers as a gift from the film.
The stand-in and the feet we see when Dorothy clicks her heels together. Now, remember that when Dorothy clicks her heels together, you're told you always had what you needed to go home. And where are we in the financial world right now? We've always had constitutional money. But that's what we're seeing, the destruction of this petrodollar.
If you tie it even to the ritual of the Artemis mission that the date of this aligns with, there's no place like home. The ark that once brought the Aryan people to this planet from Mars, you know. But I think there's a non-zero chance that that's the case, right? Like there's a whole constructed case to be made that the arc of the moon is what brought the white people here in the first place. Our ancestors, even the more advanced versions of us before we were fucked with by the Elohim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those that built Atlantis, if you will, the 24 chromosome versions of ourselves before the CRISPR experiment probably shortened our lives, you know, gave us a more disconnected environment from the spirit, you know. So say what you will about going home, but I think that's all part of it too, just because what I'm getting at is that the birthday lined up with the record distance that the Integrity spacecraft set for any object that was man-made to be away from Earth on April 6th. So April 6th was the birth date of this, you know, secret actress that played Dorothy's feet in the Wizard of Oz movie.
I was thinking this was on the same day, but this was on the 8th. So this was
whatever this is certainly the 8th. Yeah. The birthday was the key alignment that I saw because what was weird about the VSTEG nature of it too, if Oz wasn't enough for you and the secret actor and Q and all that different way that you can interpret it wasn't enough, is that the record of the moon's distance, so not the moon's distance, I'm not wording this correctly. The record that the spacecraft, the Integrity set that was on the Artemis 2 mission
Right.
for the furthest distance of any man-made object ever has traveled away from Earth.
Away from Earth, yes.
240,000 miles or whatever the hell. As it circled the dark side of the moon, it was just too funny that it was 55 years, 50 weeks, and 5 days to the day since it happened previously, since the last record was set, the Apollo 13 mission.
Okay.
So there was that whole, dead ringer for some pulling the wool over your eyes with a ritual that event was a key candidate for, let's just say.
It's a great distraction. Have you seen the movie Wag the Dog?
Yeah, I saw that one like in the 90s. I think that came out, right? Like
it must have. I'm guessing it came out sometime around the Clinton episode because it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the era. I saw it as a kid when I was like, I don't know, like 10, 11 years old, something like that.
Well, so Dustin Hoffman's in it, and they hire Hollywood directors and actors to put on a pageant because this director says, I'm not going to do a movie about war, a play about war. He said, it's a pageant. You're doing a pageant. This is theater. We need a song. Yeah. We need a theme song. We need a catchy line. We need, motivation for the actors. It's a pageant.
Yep.
And so that's where I was playing into when Dan Scavino retweeted the end is near.
Right.
Just the other night. Well, and then there's, of course, the whole, I don't know if we want to even play all the videos. I think we all have seen them, but Trump mentioning central casting 3 times.
Have people seen it? You don't want to assume. Just show at least one of them.
Okay.
It's always helpful when you're presenting ideas to have that which you're speaking from the place of,
Well, now remember, what do they call it for the CIA where they're trained? They call it a farm.
Oh, the movie Animal Farm's coming out, by the way.
Oh, well, there's another.
They're adapting George Orwell's Animal Farm into a movie, it looked like, with hilariously, like a lot of the Jewish Hollywood stars like Seth Rogen and stuff playing the voices. It's just,
well, and this just threw me because I'm like, why in the hell is the CIA rescuing the military? Except they're showing us, this one talks about it too. Trump and the CIA are mocking the enemy. Trump talks about the rescue mission.
I don't know if that was I don't know if anybody said that the CIA saved the military, but they did provide the instrumental technology to find the missing pilot or whatever.
Find the missing pilot with the heart murmur locator, which I'm like, why do you think McAfee was in a tin can for so long? But anyway, here's the central cast.
Donald Trump and the CIA are mocking the enemy. What we are watching in Iran is part of a scripted movie. The enemy is the gatekeepers, the people putting out the information, the people really getting triggered by Donald Trump right now. So Donald Trump has just done his announcement where they rescued the pilot. And he said it's like finding a needle in a haystack. And if you listen to what he says here.
A runway. This was a farm, not a runway. It's a farm, but it did the trick.
A farm.
But to have a contingency as opposed to having to wait 2 days, can you imagine right in the middle? This was central.
The farm. He's leaving us the clues. What is the farm? The farm is a covert 9,000-acre CIA training facility located at Camp Peary, Virginia, used for training Directorate of Operation officers. This high security site hosts clandestine tradecraft training, including surveillance, evasion, and intelligence collection in a simulated hostile environment. And he says this location is central casting. Central casting is a performance from the Central Intelligence Agency.
This was right, you would call it central casting if you were doing a movie for location. And probably the toughest area of Iran.
He then even calls on the CIA director, and look how he introduces him.
The man he's central casting, okay? If we cast a movie, he's going to play the head of the CIA. He's one of the few. John Ratcliffe. He did a phenomenal job that night.
Except he's
Something
laughing
that I don't
behind
know if you
him.
want to talk
Mhm.
about.
Look, he
it.
can't help himself. He's giggling.
Central casting.
Did you see that?
It's all a mockingbird operation. The CIA are working within the shadows, cleaning up. And there's so many people that tell you the CIA are the bad, but Donald Trump says.
Pause
no, they're
right
the
there.
best.
Pause right there. Pause right there. Because I think there's the context. Like, I think this guy's right on with the points to analyze. I think he's slightly off with saying with what the messaging really is. He, by his analysis, because of the association of the farm and the CIA, he's drawing the conclusion, and I think he's jumping way too many steps ahead to suggest that the CIA and Trump are therefore the same operative body. They're working together.
Yeah, that's not what I get out of it.
I think it's the opposite. I think he's saying that the battlefield over there may as well be the farm, the simulated environment that they have over here, which is just to play out war games.
Or to
It's an
the CIA
allegory.
has been involved in
Right, but he's
perpetuating his work.
uncovering. He's going to war with the CIA out on the farm. Iran is their ultimate farm. It's an allegory. It's the same. It's a corollary, is what it is. Rather than that, the corollary is you have a farm here, like he said, in the United States. It's a training ground. It's colloquialized with that name for whatever the fuck reason. Doesn't really have anything to do with anything, it doesn't seem. But the understanding is that's where kayfabe happens. That's where they train. That's where they train to be so good at kayfabe, is on the farm. It's a simulated environment that the CIA operative goes into, that before they go live out into the field, they have to role play, right? That's what the farm is.
Mhm.
So what I interpret the messaging that Trump is saying at the podium there, and what he's actually conveying is the case, is that Iran is the ultimate farm. The whole platform of Iran is a CIA setup so that the Bank of London can launder money through it as one mechanism, right?
And that they can pay off their buddies, their deep state buddies.
Whatever they can do. Well, like, think about an off-books credit system. That's what Iran is. It's an off-books credit system.
Right, because
That's
Iran
off
does not have a
exchanges.
central, it does not have a central bank. And so part of that is that the money can go in there and it won't be tracked the same through the central banking system. And that's how a lot of this has gotten washed and moved around.
It's actually CIA, Mossad, MI6. It's the intelligence agencies that have done the setup.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that get enriched both on the narrative, because Tom Luongo's right about this, I think, where he's nailed the insurance scheme of the Bank of London with MI6. The Bank of London creates the backstop for the insurance money scheme. MI6 creates the insurance policy. Oh, we'll protect you because we're MI6. And Lloyd's of London creates the policy for it all. They enrich themselves on creating chaos and ensuring the environment of chaos against uncertainty. But they're the ones creating the chaos. They're enriching both sides of the trade, right? It's really how war is always operated. It's not a secret. But Tom's kind of nailed it, I think, with his take on what Trump is doing to maintain a new world standard of how things get insured in the open seas without Iran being the poker chip that it was. It's now rendered inert.
Right.
It's been taken off the playing field, as it were. And because of that, you have the people that ran the farm getting all riled up, the intelligence agencies. Again, this guy, I think, has it a little bit off. I think it's more nuanced than he's approaching his analysis, his conclusions with. I think Trump is going to battle with the intelligence agencies. He's still got kind of that Kennedy legacy behind him, whatever that is. Whatever that is. He's playing into the Q kayfabe huge now. He's playing into it at very least. embodying that as kayfabe and part of the persona that he's now taken on. And he's got some pretty smart people behind him employing that to the surface, right?
Yeah.
But the CIA, if he's taken off the farm, right, he's now creating their right out of central casting as the secondary thing that he's talking about here. So labels Iran as the farm, labels the players themselves within it as central casting. He couldn't be more clear about what he's getting at is
that you're
the
watching
psyop that is Iran is
Yes.
no longer going to be a problem.
Yeah. Well, and that's where so Richard Bodie was talking about.
Yeah, I like this guy too. I haven't seen any of his stuff in a while, but let's hear what he has to say.
60% fiction or fraud and 40% force. The more fraud you use, the less force you need. But there is going to be force required. Do I believe there's going to be nuclear war? No. Will there be threats of it? Yes. Will you see images, terrifying images on the TV? Yes. Are they going to be real? Some will, some won't. I personally don't think TAC nukes will be used. You don't need TAC nukes. There are other ways to do business. The story will be told that TAC nukes are being used, but again, I try to look at it from a broader perspective. What is necessary from the White Hat perspective is to move all these demographic groups simultaneously, and it requires that simultaneous moment to get their attention. And so these scare events almost have to be simultaneous, so they've got everybody's attention and they can draw that from it. So no, I'm not the least bit concerned about Third World War. This is what they promised under Hillary Clinton way back when. She wasn't supposed to lose. Trump wasn't supposed to win. There was supposed to be a war with Russia. We know that. And the whole thing was put on hold because DJT did the unthinkable to them. And so this is just the moment that they had planned for when Hillary Clinton was supposed to win the election. So this is, but too little too late now. Not the least bit concerned, despite what you see on TV. Once again, for those who haven't seen the movie Wag the Dog, please watch it. It's not a movie, it's a documentary. It is so accurate, it is not funny. Wag the Dog, please watch it, and you'll understand the context of my comments.
Then,
There's a crisis in the White House.
What's the crisis?
And the president's
I should go watch this
advisors
again.
have been called together.
Oh, jeez.
The sexual misconduct occurred inside the Oval Office. With the election only days away, how much will
22A,
this scandal
did you see that?
affect the outcome?
The president spent the weekend pressing the flash. He wasn't campaigning, he was dating, actually.
Now, Washington's top spin doctor
We can distract the press for 11 days till the election. I think we got a chance.
has an idea,
We can't afford a war.
We're going to have the appearance of a war.
but he can't pull it off without Hollywood's top producer.
Do I know you?
We have some mutual friends in Washington.
Why come to me?
We want you to produce. You want me to produce your war? Not a war. It's a pageant. We need a theme, a song, some visuals. We need, it's a pageant.
New Line Cinema presents
How close are you to this? What do you want the kid to say?
all the spectacle,
I know we're all
When
concerned
Mama-
with the president.
I know we're all concerned for the president.
I know that we are all concerned for the president.
He didn't sell the line.
remember when
All the
Mama ripped his
drama.
The
nose?
president's going to go to
You
war with
was
Albania in
asked
about 30
to do
minutes.
that?
Oh yeah.
Albania's hard to ride.
These are chips.
We need it for the armed position on the screen. It'll be a kitten. We'll punch it in later, right?
and all the effects of real war.
Okay, put the village behind her.
Give me some sound of screaming.
Without the casualties.
Oh,
America
Ukraine.
has seldom witnessed a more poignant picture of
They used the same process with the last Schwarzenegger movie. You're the man.
Albania, Albania.
That rhymes.
I can't believe it. We forgot a hero. It's like we sent him the Christmas card and we left out the what do you call it? Fruitcake. There you go.
Sergeant Schumann, if I may, welcome to history.
How are you? Anybody want a beer? Because I could party.
When it's cooking, it's cooking.
From Academy Award-winning director Barry Levinson
When this goes national, I get to put it on my resume.
Actually, no.
What could they do to me?
Take him home to your house and kill you.
Academy Award winner Dustin Hoffman,
This is politics at its finest.
Academy Award winner Robert De Niro,
How would you like an ambassadorship? That's my fail? Well, I just do it for a story to tell. No, you couldn't tell anybody. I'm just kidding. No, you couldn't tell. No. It's just it's a pageant. It's a pageant. That's what it is.
Wag the
It's a pageant. That's what it is. And that's where we are.
Yeah. Well, I should go back and watch that even with Allison. I don't know if she's seen it. And I didn't obviously know what V-Steg was when I was a kid, but it's so funny. 22A. You got the V and the lambda right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yep.
Oh, guys. So quite the apparatus of distraction going on. And you know, I pretty clearly see it that way that you do too. And I'm surprised at how many people are emotionally invested, even one way or the other, when it's so clear, again, that the kayfabe is the modus operandi here.
Well, and that Trump's job is to come in and be the punisher, to be the destroyer, to get rid of the petrodollar.
Bull in the China shop. That's a big set of like 10 years ago, right? Like I remember him saying that every morning for.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, the Punisher movie is coming out May 12th, I believe.
Well, there's a Q nod for you too.
Yeah, the new Punisher.
Because the Punisher, obviously, the Punisher logos became synonymous with the Q crowds identifying that, you know, obviously the Guy Fawkes mask, like love it or hate it, like I
love it.
There's a whole thing with the Guy Fawkes stuff,
Right.
like the Jesuit casuistrist that is Guy Fawkes. Fox faction aside, in the anonymous logos goes alongside the Punisher logos of, you know, again, yeah, like it's now become part of the lore. And so those movie release dates then become significant to the comms that
so that's
we
amazing.
are supposed to see between the lines. So I want to talk, before we get into the Oz thing though, back to Iran, bringing it all together. Like we see the things now with the casting, but again, you're going to see things that are fake. You're going to see things that are real. The things that are fake, I mean, there's not much to show in Iran, if you've noticed. How much can you validate? Because the population can't access the outside internet. They have an internalized intranet, and they can't penetrate outside. So we can't like talk to them on X or anything. And a lot of people would be surprised to know that the subset of Christians that live there that are classically Aryan with blue eyes, like we talked about last week, is it's a large subset of the population. And things are going to get a little bit weird when and if, I think, you know, it's only inevitable that that does occur, that, you know, eventually those streams cross and ideas start exchanging on the internet, and in a flash, everything gets even weirder than it is now.
Well, and things are happening in the background, lining up. I shared this morning on WBRT, and I'll talk more with Westwood about it. But Texas just used Article 1, Section 10 to destroy the IRS case. For decades, IRS has called your silver a collectible and hit gains with 28% federal tax. So what they actually did, they're treating money as, or gold and silver as money, not hobby items. That puts the collectible label in direct conflict with the Constitution's plain text, because gold and silver is coined as legal tender. So they cited Article 1, Section 10, no state shall make anything but gold and silver coin in a tender of payment of debts. They also built a Texas bullion depository with this House Bill 1056 with silver-backed payment system, with using like a credit card, and you swipe and that it's all vaulted, and
you registered a key amount, you got a certificate for your registration, you got some sort of two-factor authentication that you're the owner of the said registration, all that kind of shit, right?
All the things.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah. And so during the Great Infection, I know it was more than 23, I can't remember how many states made gold and silver legal tender, and also took the time and the, you know,
mine was one. Arizona was one. It was one of the first ones. I was very pleased with that.
Great. Yeah, that's great. They also backed their state treasuries with physical gold and silver. And I don't know if they used COVID money to do that or not, but I know they.
Well, Arizona just needed to say it's in the ground.
Well, that too. Yeah, but then that has to be
there's some weirdness around that, Lisa. Have you and I talked about the during COVID, the weirdness around the curfews the first night of curfews and how Arizona was the only state that had like these weird curfew.
Really?
Yeah, there's a whole thing. Long story short, we can get into it when it's not, like woo squirrel, but it kind of relates to, the territory we're in right now, at least with my conclusion of what happened was, I think that they closed the Grand Canyon down first. That was the weird thing. They hadn't yet closed the national parks. They just said, Grand Canyon's closed. Everybody leave. It's like, all right. Then the curfews go in, and there were some key stipulations for leaving all of the park systems the night that it occurred, that day in March. I forget which one it is. I've got it archived when I was speculating in one of my videos. And I suspect that there was movement of metals out of the area with the cover of darkness and nobody being on the roads and statewide curfews in place, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot that I went into at that time of why I thought that was potentially the case.
That makes sense.
So the metals damn sure are going to back whatever the hell it is that we're going into. You saw Judy Shelton's post maybe this last week too?
I did. She's talked about that for so long. And in her book, Money Meltdown, that's kind of the whole premise of it. And talked about, Nixon wrote her a letter talking to her about it. So we've talked about this before, but she's now like kind of bringing it up again in a timely fashion. And last year she said that somebody said, would you advise Trump? And she's like, I wouldn't advise him anything, but I would think he's going to have to do this.
And maybe we should enlighten the viewers as to what she's talking about too.
Yeah. So I'll pull up her tweet.
I can summarize it quickly while you're pulling it up. So gold, everyone, is valued in our vaults, on our ledgers, on the US balance sheet at a value that is reflective of when the US went off the gold standard in 1971. When Nixon took us off the gold standard, it pegged all of the gold that we have on our balance sheet at $42 an ounce. And that is where it has sat, at least as far as the ledger would reflect how we claim the valuation of it as a nation. So it's just sat static. The open market price of the trading of gold obviously is all the way up at like $4,000 something an ounce. Yet for the treasury's ledgering purposes, that gold that was on ledger and they've still maintained in their inventory is only at $42 an ounce. So what Shelton is suggesting is that to wipe out the US debt, if we go to a gold-backed system and turn that on, gold gets valued at least at what the Federal Reserve note is valued at now, which more than wipes out all the trillions of debt in FRNs.
Right. And she's saying to use enable stable coins. When I heard her speak, she even called it, she had a name for it even. I can't remember what it was. But backed by
and this isn't having to touch silver one iota. This would be using gold to accomplish all of that. Because we've speculated on what it would take to do it in silver, but silver is probably too important to do it with. And if you can do it with gold in this fashion, then,
Well, I could see gold being used for money. That's really, it's used for jewelry and it's used for money, but it really doesn't have the use case outside of that. And so to use something like silver for money, I could see that being like a problem because they need it for so many other things. So, and I'm not a gold bug in any way. I think there's tons of gold, and that's why they'll be able to use it for money because it'll be plentiful for everyone.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, this kind of leads us back into the speculative realm of really some impetus of why we have the farm, the kayfabe at the farm in Iran playing out like it is with the Strait of Hormuz.
Distraction, right. And the reason for, why is the petrodollar, why is the dollar being deflated away? Oh, well, the war. It's the war that your dollar's being deflated away, or inflated away.
Well, we were talking before the show about some other key indicators that we now have, with that lens. Let's say the lens that we have is correct, in order for us to go down this path of speculation, we're going into this path of speculation with a couple of assumptions that we are assuming are correct. That key assumption being the one we've kind of locked into place this whole time is that the theater of war on the farm that is Iran, the stage for the kayfabe to play out, that is actually occurring, that the fighting is a moot point outside of what, and I'll get to this in a second, the wild card Israel will do, because
and to your point though, the fighting, so there have been all these bombing and all this, but no deaths.
Oh, we almost had one. It almost seems too unbelievable if you don't have some drama, right? So they inserted, you know, the man down behind enemy lines, the F-15 jet is down, and it's like, what are they doing flying F-15 jets?
Yeah, first of all, they have
in the modern warfare
F-35s
environment,
and the
in that
B-2.
theater over there. What's the, you know, what the hell is the deal? So anyway, if we can assume that much, that's what I'm saying. That's our key assumption, that we have to go into this realm of speculation. That's to say, that's what we're setting we're setting the stage for our own speculation. I will presume that if given that is correct, there's a secondary behind the scenes negotiation that's taken place in order for this to happen so peacefully without intervention. Because here's what we have. We do have the virtual takeover of Iran, just like the US went into Venezuela and just cleaned the floor in a couple of hours with whatever the hell it was they employed technology-wise to do so. They obviously did so over here in Iran too. Pretty advanced technology. On the surface, they're showing you, this is what's so funny about it. They're showing you Warthog, A-10s, and Apaches. 1980s technology flying around unabated. That's why they're showing you the F-15. Again, a 1980s technology jet flying around unabated. Nothing can shoot it down really until they did have the story that the F-15 got shot down. Oh, and one of the A-10 Warthogs did get shot down. I think too many people were talking about, like, those are old aircraft. It must mean that the advanced battery systems are down or something, that Iran is rendered without any options. If they're able to fly those old aircraft, it means the war's already over in the first place. Kind of a conclusion, because they wouldn't have such vulnerable aircraft up in the air otherwise. So that played itself out a couple of weeks ago. And so behind the scenes, you have, again, the assumption being that the London credit system is now lopped off. America, or Trump's military, is taking over the Strait of Hormuz passage arrangement, whatever that new arrangement's going to be. And aside from that, he has no intervention from Russia, from China, from any of the nations that are being affected. You just, all you have is a tantrum.
And they're the ones that use that oil. China and Russia are who uses that oil, but they're just staying out of it.
They're allowing it to happen. So what did they get out of the deal is what you got to wonder, right? So I start thinking about, like, what was the negotiation all about to let this theater play out without their intervention? They know it's just fake anyway. To the extent that Israel doesn't involve actual tantrum missiles.
Keep in mind, what this exposed was that NATO is not there for us. That for all these years we've been paying in, and we've been the police of the world, and we've been defending everybody and protecting everybody under NATO.
They would implode in a year if they would cease to exist as an organization if the United States leaves this week, like Trump is going to say. Yeah, I think that's on the table.
Right. I think that's one of the things, they never let a good emergency go to waste or whatever. That's one of the things that will be accomplished during this, is we will leave NATO.
It's going to be a very good thing. And the other good thing is that there's going to be equity in what I suspect is the mechanism for the negotiations behind the scenes. Silver being the key metal to watch here. It's not the oil that matters, it's the silver price. So going into the conditions that set the stage for the war to play out throughout the month of, March and into April. At the end of all of this like news cycle around it, it'll have lasted about 6 weeks. It'll be an afterthought when everybody thinks about it. But key to the understanding of what's happening with the silver markets is we're going into this new world. If everybody here in this audience kind of assumes that sci-fi world is going to be a presumptive conclusion, right? Like we can all probably also make that assumption in this audience and this crowd in general that sci-fi world is upon us. Well, we all know also that silver is the broad metal component to make sci-fi world work. With the tapping into the ether and the latticing and matrixing, matrixizing, making a matrix. I don't know the verb that might be creating a term there. But that would be required. Silver is the unique metal that provides the properties to do so and all this shit. We all know that. So if you're going to be China and Russia and India and you've been fucked out of that trade for the last 50 years because the suppression after World War II, especially, and, Bix's whole work with the calutron magnets and all that stuff that the United States did to centralize a lot of the silver in the first place, and then some beyond that. The effect of us going down that research path, plus making it our money, it was in addition to just gobbling up the trade of it all with the manipulation on the markets and JP Morgan Chase, right? The world is generally probably sick of that, the sovereigns. And they probably need some metals for the future that we're going into. In order not to act, in order to let this all play out, in order to let America, again, lop off the head of London, remove itself away from the Israeli succubus alien that's trying to lay eggs in your mouth,
Goodness.
You have to get the participation of those other big world players. You have to create a détente of some variety, which is what we're seeing. There's a détente. There's a convenient arrangement around something. And I suspect silver is at the heart of it. With you, when you look at the deliveries of key exchanges around the world being drained of their entire vaults holdings, the COMEX mainly sounds like there's a rumor going around.
Yeah, share what you found today.
Well, my local coin shop dealer had heard from his suppliers, and he hadn't confirmed this yet. He said it was still rumor mill phase, but it was 15 minutes old that he verified with a couple of other sources that they were hearing the same thing, his supplier network, that the COMEX was dry completely of in inventory deliverable silver.
And we're going into Orthodox Easter weekend. Also, I just pulled something up that showed the days of the war.
Yeah.
And the 40th day was the, let's see if it says the 8th, which puts the 45th day on Monday. So if something happens over this Easter weekend, Easter was always the timeline. And then Trump brought up that Greek Orthodox priest to pray over Easter or whatever, which I thought was so strange. But does that then point at the Orthodox Easter as the timeline? Was that the whole purpose?
Trump's just on the balcony talking shit with a fucking big bunny costume sitting next.
It was so bizarre. How are you supposed to take anything?
People are getting so upset.
Mm-hmm.
People are getting so upset.
Oh,
This is all an arrangement of the reshuffling of what has to happen post-banking collapse, and these other countries, I think, are the ones taking the delivery, is my conclusion. The massive amounts, like 180 tons of silver, or is it 100? It's 180,000 tons of silver or something. It's like, I have to go look. It's an unfathomable amount of silver. However you frame the exact figures, it's like 1/8 and however many digits, however many orders of magnitude, it's more than you can feasibly even get on trucks and distribute to retail. You know, it's sovereigns moving this. It's clear. And they're doing it at the prices that have been suppressed after we got the $120 crash.
Right.
I think maybe as part of the arrangement to where they can get it at a reasonable price, sub $100. US still said, we're going to make a little bit of money. It's not going to be at $20, you know, like it was, but we'll keep it here with our manipulation. Everybody keeps saying, you know, that are technical analysts, they're looking at silver charts. They're saying it's a bear flag. It's a bear flag. And every time it hits, like it tries to basically hit the bottom of a moving average line or
it just bounces right back
short-term resistance. It just pops back ahead. It's like, oh, what the fuck is happening? You know, it's just barely keeping ahead of how people had said it was going to go down to 50 again. You know, I don't know if that's the case. If we really saw what we saw, where it was just basically manipulated under $100 so that Russia and China and India could get their take at a fair-ish price, get it off the markets, drain the exchanges, lop off Iran's credit system at the same time, take ownership of however we're going to handle the transit of oil out of the Gulf from now on, and probably get the fuck out ourselves. We don't need that oil. We can make it ourselves way cheaper than we can.
And we don't need oil. I mean, they've already come up with the fact that you can. So we used to need oil and wires to move electricity and all that, but now they are able to beam energy through radio.
But in the interim, we're still going to use oil and diesel and stuff for a little bit. We're not going to do it overnight.
There's a transition period.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. But you know, we have the ability just to generate it here, and don't have the transport cost of bringing in a tanker here. Like, we factor that stuff in because we don't use the pipelines that are already built for this very reason. Just as an excuse to have a ship in the added expense that it takes to transit here, it gives the Federal Reserve Note and the petrodollar one more valve of release to extend itself without to save itself the inevitable, you know, hike and incline in its demise for inflation. It allows the course to be stemmed a little bit if you're getting an unnecessary shipping route to deliver oil that we can just produce on site, you know, like so we're going to have a paradigm shift, I think, in a lot of that stuff. Russia can produce its own oil. It can certainly get its own LNG to trade for easier to get oil. And if we open up the Arctic lanes like they want to do, hey, we got a lot more efficient with trading with Russia all of a sudden, you know. So silver is a bargaining chip. The countries need it. We're going to need it for sci-fi world. In the interim, things are going to have more equity, I think, after this is all over. I don't know why people don't see that as the strategy, as the game. It's been over since it started, practically. And I don't know where all the emotions come. Like, what channels are people watching where they, you know, they don't consider this aspect of it?
No, I think it's over. I think it's over too. Dan Scavino Jr. thinks it's over.
Yeah.
You're right there. The end is near.
The final character.
I had to say, oh, the end is near. Here we go. I mean, because he originally posted that December of 24, and now he's just reposting it. I went back to his actual account to make sure that he really did retweet that yesterday, but he did.
Yeah.
So everything's
it's
place, I think.
I mean, one of these days, guys, you're all going to realize you're going to get faced with the path to initiate beyond the system or get subsumed by it again. It's going to be.
I think most of our community is already on that path of a parallel system outside of the matrix, and they're already looking for those kind of, you know.
Well, let's have a little bit of fun with decoding the environment that we're in. I mean, this administration certainly is having a lot of fun. You can tell with the amount of theater. Like, there is no danger at least at the level that you guys all think that there is, look up to the skies at the space alien potentiality, and you'll be really fucking scared about what the prospects of that are. Because, you know, perfect segue back to our Oz environment book.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose to contend with our friend Ken Schwartz that you had on your podcast this week about one point that he made about aliens.
Schwartz. There's no CH in his name. It's
perhaps my mouth is, I did not mean to slur the word together. I apologize.
I had to learn myself. So
I think pronunciation is important.
Yes.
Okay. Ken Schwartz on the podcast, he's talking about aliens, and he made a comment. I'm paraphrasing, and apologize if it's not perfectly reflective of what he said, but he said something to the effect of, if you're an advanced enough alien species, we're going to be of no interest to you as our own human race, right? You remember him saying something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
I would posit to him and anybody else that has that as a position that our variability to manifest things and the potential to hijack that for nefarious means may very well be the only motive that an advanced enough alien species might need in order for us to create a psychic prospect or a psychic planned, let's say, scripted future for ourselves with their inputs of mind control. I think there's plenty that an advanced alien species could gain from whatever yield they can extract from that. And as we had in our comic book with the insect race that was the only one that was impervious to the mind control in Oz.
That little guy, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That we may be in that environment now. And whatever that alien species may be, that's fucking with our heads, that very motive of whatever we create with our minds might be the output that they yield from us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I challenge the position a little bit because I think there are plenty.
Aliens or demons or however you want to discuss it. Those beings, you know, when they talk about them, like these Hollywood people making deals with the devil and a demon taking over, like, you know, what's her name? Beyonce had the Sasha Fierce or whatever. And she even said in interviews, it's like she leaves her body or she has this other personality. She doesn't even remember.
She like has a channel, the being experience or something.
Well, if they're incapable of feeling, which allegedly, this was one theory I heard, that they're incapable of feeling like love, joy, you know, all the emotions that humans are. And so those demonic aliens, or whatever you want to call them, have these deals with people or take over their lives to then, like you were saying, extract that emotion that they're not capable of. Or they're not capable of experiencing that emotion. So they have to like come in and hijack our nervous system or our vagus nervous system. And
that's an interesting thing to consider, isn't it? I had never considered that.
Well, it's like the looshing thing, right?
Well, I always considered loosh to be like a commodity, you know, like you could pile it up in a tub and they use it for something. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like a commodity of some variety that's used as an energy source that, you know, is needed for.
Oh, but they're incapable of producing it themselves. It may be both things, but they're incapable of.
It may not even be entirely necessary for their existence. It could be so just they're addicted to it now that
who knows?
It's a drug of some variety in the metaphysical sense, because it's. You would say loosh is an astral substance. It doesn't have any corporeality to it. You know, it doesn't have any manifest material.
Frequency, though.
Huh?
There's a definite frequency though, because you can feel the energy.
But it's like it's outside of our perceptive reality. We don't have a sensory apparatus with sight, sound, taste, smell to experience whatever loosh is. We're lacking a sensory array to be able to decode whatever that is, probably. I think like feeling though, like the psychic feeling, the impression you get from your bioelectric field, that stuff you can access if you're in tune with it enough, you can. That's how we know inherently how somebody's upset without them really showing signs of it. They're broadcasting it, and our senses are picking it up. It's the empathic kind of field. And so maybe when that's a lower vibe, Loosh probably persists from that. It might be why you say things when you go into like a haunted house and you say, oh, the air is heavy, because maybe you're feeling the Loosh. So maybe I'm just not expanding my mind to the possibility that we can actually sense what it is, but you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't have any proclamation around it or anything, but
I'm with you.
Anyways isn't a word. The Oz book kind of has that whole same take, because the witch Mombi seems to be extracting something from Ozma as the captive, right? So picking the book back up, if everybody remembers, there was a captive little boy named Tip traveling across Oz. The Silver Knight was the one that was being her escort, I guess, across Oz on the Yellow Brick Road. Former Tin Man. I mean, he's still called the Tin Man in this tale, right. But I mean, his whole personage is like one of Bix and Jenny's Silver Knights, basically. I mean, let me see here.
Yeah, it's after he's been to Oz. Yeah, even his outfit is
right here.
Beast up.
That's the way they So Tip is not himself. He is Dorothy has been cast back to Kansas. Her silver slippers were lost to the sea of the sands. And back in Kansas,
mentioned in that thing, he said like finding a needle in a haystack, something in sand. He mentioned sand in that.
Oh, for the F-15 pilot. You're going back to that? What did he say? So you're saying I remember the needle in the haystack thing. It was like finding a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, and he said something about the sand, because I remember. So I have a picture of a friend of mine who I think has more knowledge than she's willing to share with me.
Okay.
And of her in a desert with a 7-foot tall person in military uniform, and comments about the sand. And
well, I've told you about my experience. Maybe not. I'll just rehash I had a friend down in Scottsdale. It's friend-ish, acquaintance. Elsa and I spent some time with her. Her husband died fatally and suddenly after the plunge. He stroked out and died in his sleep, and she, they're newly married and really sad. So we were spending time with her. She was kind of shocked, and we were just trying to be human there for her.
Yeah,
she had an interesting story. She was an interpreter for the military in Afghanistan all the way through the late 80s and 90s, and even into the secondary operation with the George Bush era, the 9/11 ops, basically. So she was over there in Afghanistan. She spoke 3 of the local dialects. She could speak Farsi. She could speak Arabic. She could speak something else, whatever the Pakistanis speak.
Okay.
I think a lot of the Pakistanis might speak Farsi too. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So she having to interpret a lot of the back and forth between different military units that are involved in the area. She started to light up when I started talking about like Elohim, space aliens and stuff. We started talking about the moon one night because she had us over for dinner, and I was just getting wild with, like, well, what do you think? And she was like,
let me show you my crazy.
But she actually contributed to the conversation. She kind of like leaned back in. She's like, well, that might explain a few things that I've always had a lot of questions on, because the bigger giants and all this stuff kind of came up from the past. We started talking about the giant bones that are off of Catalina and the Smithsonian, and then so she opens up. She says that in a lot of the translations that she would have to do with command structures over there, like the big, tall giants, how she would have to interpret things. It was interpreted in different languages, different ways, but always basically roughly translated the big, tall giants in the caves.
Oh, really?
Who you had to go speak with in order to get certain approvals on things, basically, and she was always just like, what the fuck does that mean? She was just the interpreter, but she like, had
I'll
that,
say
like,
this, but
she never asked questions. She just kind of was like, what, but it struck her so, like, in an enlightening way when we started talking about that stuff. It was like activated qualia for her, like, whoa, the big people in the cave, what if those are the aliens? I'm like, what if
that's where, like, as this stuff is coming out and they're being more obvious with the central casting stuff, they're being more in your face about a lot of things. The other thing that ties this together is, just this morning I was on X and I saw a post that Elon retweeted and had big rockets with it, and the post below says, oh my gosh, I couldn't sleep. What's going on here? I'm reading posts from people in the US, from Italy, from Spain, from blah, 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 all these different languages. Well, so must be a new feature on X now that when whoever types it, they type it in their language, Korean, but when you touch it, it turns into what you need to read.
They opened the floodgates and connected all the countries up. So now we're allowed to cross our feeds with each other.
So now, can you imagine?
They're setting the stage for Iran to enter the fray, is what they're doing.
Well, but if regular people, because I don't believe the media of what's going on in Iran. I don't believe the media of what's going on in Alaska, because I'm not there. But if I talk to, my son-in-law's from Alaska, if I talk to his parents or some family members there or something in Alaska, I would believe that. I would believe someone on the ground in that area. And that's what that door that opens for all of us to be able to communicate and say what's really happening somewhere. And they're getting rid of the bots, like something like, I can't remember how many so fast, 200 something a second or something.
AI agent tools are making it easier to suss those bots out, because there's pattern recognition that the AI bots can pick up so quickly, and they're, oh, you're a bot, yank. Your pattern is indicative of a 100% possibility that you're a bot. You're gone, and it's
right. Not only our country is having, massive deportations of illegals. They're going picking them up if they were brought in. If you were receiving any kind of taxpayer dollars, they're hauling your butt out of here if you're here illegally. So you can't go to higher education. You can't go to K through 12 if you're here illegally, because those are funded by taxpayer dollars. So
can't take your driver's license without speaking English now, apparently.
Nope. All the CDLs, all of that stuff. And so all of that is happening at the same time, which they're also talking about cleaning up the census. Like all this there's a lot happening to clear the air. So they've got to wrap this kayfabe pretty quick, because the truth is being
it's that they're not going to intercede with the 250th anniversary party. That's what's so hilarious. It'd be like, guys, it's all set up for that to be the exclamation point. There's going to be a big UFC fight on the lawn. New
UFC. They reopened the North Dakota Mount Rushmore. They're going to have fireworks again this year, and they have a lottery right now. It's only open for the next 3 days. So if you want to go to the national parks website, submit for the lottery. You can ask or request for up to 4 tickets. They're $1 a piece. But you have to do it within the next, I think it's like 3 days. And but then if you get chosen, you can bring your 4 people, but it's going to be a big deal, so
we're not going to have any of this other shit hanging over us either, is the point.
The new Trump, I don't think they're just $100 bills.
It's not Trump. People keep saying like he's just going to have his signature on them.
His signature is going to be on them.
Yeah. It's not like Trump's face, or everybody's doing these like weird AI slop videos and memes like, oh, Trump's face is going to be on all the dollars, and they're showing there he really is the king. And
they also said he was replacing the treasurer's signature, and that's not true. The treasurer's it'll be next to the treasurer's signature.
Right.
But maybe it'll have his face. Who knows? I'm down for anything. Surprise me.
The coin is going to have his face. I want to get one of those. I don't know when they're available, but I want to get one of those.
Yeah.
The silver medallion coin.
It's
actually a face value coin. I think it's a circulation, like Silver Eagle variety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not new currency, like reverting back to constitutional money. Yes. 375 grains.
Yeah.
Of silver to equate to $1.
Once again, the nod to Oz. We always had what we needed. We had everything we needed to go home. We had the silver slippers. We had the silver. That's all we needed to get out of that.
Well, and the other lessons of the book too that Ozma had to go through. She had to go through the suffering of the trickery. I think, I don't know if there's as much transgenderism as a nod to this as the nod of her being Tip, the little boy who she's actually Ozma, the rightful ruler of Oz, the cast aside and lost daughter of the king prior to the Wizard of Oz's arrival in Oz. That's the way the story goes. And Mombi taking control of the mind of the child to control her for whatever reason.
Well, it said because they hid you even from yourself. And that's what this satanic Black Saturn US Fed note, it has hid us even from ourselves.
It's true whether it's transgenderism or what. There was just the plot device that they used to show exactly that you're not what you think you are. You're so much more.
Yeah, because you have the power. You have the energy. It's not in dollars. You're what gives dollars.
That's right. But here we are. Here's the demonic realm, the realm of chaos. And as it's put in here, that's kind of what awaits Oz unless Ozma takes her rightful place as the princess. Mm-hmm. She transforms. There she is. Princess Ozma. It was an interesting way to develop the character in this book because I don't remember Tip being a noteworthy character in any of the original Oz novels.
Of the stories. Yeah. I've never heard it in a movie. I've never heard it.
Ozma is completely central to him. I mean, she's all over the place in the in the book, but
never as Tip the boy.
I don't think so. Not that I can recall.
But maybe that's because it wasn't known to us either. That was the way they hid that.
Mm-hmm. Right. So anyway, the book one kind of ends with Ozma taking her rightful place after all the manipulation and the trauma is over in the Emerald City as the ruler at the center of Oz, which in the first place is the broadcast mechanism for mind control itself, misdirection, the ultimate metaphor, as it were, because it's a direct correlation to your hippocampus. You could map the lore of Oz to a homunculus and you could see the psychology therein to all of the anatomy. Even you can map it, psychology and anatomy both together with the science of psychology, and you would be able to map it to the lore of the Wizard of Oz to find corollaries to it. It's why it's so well installed into our subconscious, I guess. You see it everywhere. Obviously, it's so embedded in our subconscious at this point because it's been so overused as a programming device that we have a lot of trauma to overcome ourselves. This is kind of the lesson that I take from this. And whatever your personal journey conveys as the challenge, hers is she's actually a girl and she doesn't know it. She's not a slave to a witch in the middle of the woods.
Right.
Anyway.
And she sends the tip part of herself off, which I'm like, why would they use the word tip? Then Trump does the no tax on tips.
Yeah.
I don't know how that ties in, but I always feel like there's a there.
Might be. It's an interesting time that it's coming out. It's coming out in conjunction with these events. So we analyzed just a couple of the key the key proper nouns, like the characters, the places, the things of Oz and how they're symbols to things going on in our environment. But ultimately, hopefully, the meat of the takeaway today is, really thinking about what Oz is to the farm, like, is it any wonder why they're coming out with the Animal Farm movie? Hold on. Maybe we can.
Did you send me that one?
Animal Farm movie 2025. Oh, it already came out.
Oh
no, release date 2026. Okay, excuse me. Animal Farm, May 1st, 2026.
So that one first, then The Punisher on the 12th.
Mayday. Ah.
There you go.
But The Punisher on the 21st. Yeah, and then not to be outdone, you have The Mandalorian and the Grogu movie on 5/22. Very, very central to the Templar lore. Embedded in The Mandalorian is the story of Mars, in essence. It's what it boils down to. I've done a lot of VSTEG work on that series and what it is. And if you look at the Mandalorian logo, lambdas.
Right.
They're not letter A's, they're lambdas. Same thing with the movie poster. If you go look at the new Mandalorian Grogu movie, which is like the Baby Yoda character, remember? Have you seen this series?
This is not my wheelhouse normally.
I know. It's helpful to know the beats if you do know them. But if you look at the movie poster, 5 for V, right? Roman numeral 5 and 22, of course, is the 22nd letter of the alphabet. Pretty clear that there's going to be some operative VSTEG going on, as there always is with Mandalorian stuff. But yeah, Animal Farm, the CIA farm.
Yeah, there we go.
The Silver Egg. It's Animal Farm is a George Orwell novel, guys, and they're kind of like making a movie out of it that's more lighthearted in nature by making an animated kind of thing, which it's probably always meant to be characterized that in the mind because it's kind of how it was written. But
lighthearted, slavery and dystopian future.
Let it ride. It's all well in hand. The act is. I wish more people would consider the general pattern level of strategy that's at play here, where the game is won. The moves have to still play themselves out as as kind of an accessory to it all. So everybody can see the foregone conclusion. The silver has to, in my eyes, have the ability to pass unabatingly on ships and planes back to where the purchaser, the sovereigns, China and Russia and India and the like, are taking it for the new phase of our sci-fi world to unfold. We're going to need the silver. Other countries need it too. They needed it at a more equitable price because, let's face it, the cabal that is that has been in the United States for the last 80 years plus. What they fashioned our silver stores in service of, it had to stop. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I like
How
it.
about that? What do you think? Well, I didn't even, I mean, before we go,
Mhm.
do you vibe with that take on things, or would you nuance it?
I mean, no, mostly. I mean, it's clearly a movie to me at this point that a lot of this has been happening over 10 years or longer, but that it had to happen this way, and that we needed this time for it to be a soft rollout to not harm the people as much as possible, you know, and have this transition. We knew that the Fed notes, you know, were coming to their end. And people were going to lose their homes. They were going to lose everything. They're already most likely going to lose their retirements, 401ks, and things like that. But we'll be moving into the future of merit and sound money, and that will be, the future will be worth the loss that we feel. So we're going through the hardest part right now. We don't even know it. You know, when people were in the Great Depression, they didn't know they were in the Great Depression. It wasn't until years and years later, when things got good, that then they said, oh, we lived through the Great Depression. But when they were in it, everyone was in it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are now, I think. So
Could very well be.
We're in it.
Well, we might not even be at the bottom of the trough either, but I feel you. I feel you. The point remains the same. Whether, you know, whenever we come out of it in the future, we'll look back on it and we will say, holy shit, what was that?
The end is near, and then we'll say, I did it my way. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. I will be having a happy hour tomorrow with Westwood. So looking forward to that. Please join us there, and leave a comment below, and like and share. Thanks. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.